There are too many child abuse cases in New Mexico to count. Too many like this that are so horrendous, New Mexicans are left wondering, how could someone do that to a child? And what's being done to stop it? It's a question the public has been asking of CYFD for a long time. With the latest death of James Dunkley in December, it's being asked again. We continue our series by looking at the changes that are already underway at CYFD and a look at what many believe still needs to be done.
We have had some of the worst crimes against children in New Mexico over the past decade. These are very systemic, related to poverty, which relates to crime, which relates to our communities being in disarray.
And the system has not been perfect. In the past,
every person, myself included at CYFD, is stepping back and asking what needs to be done differently.
Or now.
It's what I found since I've come here from the outside. Not all of those processes were being used maximally in order to kind of hold us accountable.
Brian Blaylock is the new secretary of the Children, Youth and Families Department. He's been on the job for a little more than a year.
Our relationship to the community was very fractured.
He and his team have a big job ahead of them.
New Mexico has a lot of incredible strengths structurally. One of that strengths is the fact that our Youth and Child Family Serving Department has multiple things in it. We are child welfare, we are juvenile justice, we are behavioral health care for kids under 18, we are early childhood.
He's the head of an agency that has been heavily criticized. After all, it is dealing with life or death. Those lives, those of children.
We absolutely need to be thinking long-term as well so that we have systemic change here in New Mexico.
Senator Michael Padilla has become known as a loud voice for children. Growing up in the foster system himself, he's passionate about it. He's been behind a number of big pushes, including a recent one taking early childhood education out from under the umbrella of CYFD.
The creation of the Early Childhood Education and Care Department is going to lift all of the early education component out of CYFD and put it into this new department, allowing CYFD to truly focus on their core mission, which is a family in crisis.
And as we've seen, there are a lot of families in crisis. CYFD has had its challenges helping those families.
We've made some big improvements on our hotline. When I first started, the average wait time for our hotline, for our centralized intake system, was around an hour and a half, and the long wait time was over 3 hours. We worked on that diligently. We've now have that down to there's almost no wait time every month.
And the department is criticized for not being responsive enough with the public. In fact, we, the media, get constant emails and calls from the public asking us for help with their case because they can't get answers from CYFD. We brought that to the Secretary's attention.
We still need more help. Like we still need more workers, and then we need some restructuring so that we have the right workers in the right place.
The Secretary says it has also cut its vacancy rate in protective services to 14%, overall to 17%. But that's still nearly 400 workers short of what they should be. The Secretary says the governor proposed adding 103 new positions last year.
We have atrocious vacancy rates.
But in the end, they were only funded for 23. But it's not just the people, it's the program they also need to work on.
We need to fully fund universal child care. We need to fully fund early pre-K. We need to fully fund pre-K. At the earliest opportunities to help families turn the page, turn the story for their family.
Senator Padilla and others are working to make those things happen. Padilla is especially proud of a bill that just passed this last session that allows foster kids to continue to receive guidance and help from the state until they're 21. He says too many of these kids become homeless and unemployed.
Can you imagine going into adulthood with no safety net whatsoever? The floor falls out from under these kiddos, and we call them, this term that we came up with is eligible adult until they're 21. But we provide them with help in the areas of employment, housing, transportation, understanding the credit system, the legal system, healthcare, you name it.
The Secretary is also pushing for more non-traditional child care options in our state. We've too often told the story of a child abused by a mother's boyfriend, or in the case of James Dunkley, killed just this past December, the mother's friend. The Secretary says it's part of a bigger issue.
I'm working the night shift, and so I don't have access to non-traditional child care. Then where am I leaving that child?
And we need more behavioral health services for parents and kids.
I think New Mexico right now is in crisis for many reasons related to the overall well-being of our children and our families. There's not sufficient supports that exist in the community, and I think that keeps us up at night, all of state government up at night. And we are rebuilding those processes and those services, as quickly as we can.
Everyone agrees it's a work in progress.
Nothing's going to get solved here in New Mexico until we solve our issue of poverty, hunger, child abuse, and so on. And when that happens, I just think that you're going to find a whole different landscape, a whole different, view of New Mexico. We're doing a lot of things right now, but it's almost as though we're kind of on a treadmill. We're running really, really hard, but really not getting anywhere.
If you'd like to watch our entire series, we have put it on always on KRQE.com.